Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Today's episode is titled, Our Opinions Are Overvalued and Overrated. I remember listening to this podcast. I've mentioned the guy before. He's a cowboy and has his own show. One of the things he talked about really stuck with me. How we have this overly heightened sense of our own opinions, and how a lot of the time they don't really matter. We like to think that what we believe or feel is somehow special or more important than other people's views. But when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, most opinions just aren't that important. Here's why. Everyone has an opinion, right? And opinions aren't based on facts. They're based on feelings, experiences, biases. And feelings, they're not always reliable. If we go off how we feel all the time, we're setting ourselves up for trouble. I mean, think about it. How many times have you felt one way in the moment, only to look back and realize you were way off base? I know I've been there plenty of times. It's like letting your emotions drive the car with no map. You're going to end up lost eventually. Listening to that podcast really gave me a new perspective. It made me realize that maybe we've been placing too much value on our opinions. Not just other people's, but our own as well. I'm talking about myself here too. I used to get caught up in thinking my take on things was so important, but after stepping back, I've realized that most of the time, it doesn't matter. What matters are facts, things that can be proven, that stand up no matter how you feel about them. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we should go around dismissing people's thoughts or never consider what they have to say. There's still a place for that. But if we let ourselves get so caught up in what everyone thinks, whether it's their opinion or our own, it's not healthy. You'll drive yourself crazy trying to accommodate everyone's viewpoints, or worse, thinking that what you believe is the only valid truth. A lot of people out there, they've got this inflated sense of their own opinion. You know what I'm talking about. They let their views affect everyone around them, and they try to push what they believe onto others. It's like their whole identity gets wrapped up in being right, and if someone disagrees with them, well, all hell breaks loose. You've seen it. Social media is full of people going at it over the smallest disagreements, acting like their opinion is law. Let me tell you a story that I think fits this perfectly. I've told it before, but it really drives the point home. I was in this group chat with some friends, and we were talking about food. Totally harmless conversation, right? I didn't agree with what they liked, nothing serious, just different tastes, and I casually said something like, "That's cool, but I think this other food's better." No big deal. But they got upset. Like really upset. Next thing I know, I'm out of the group chat, just because I didn't agree with their opinion. It's a perfect example of how some people let their opinions control them. It's crazy how quickly things can escalate just because someone doesn't share the same view. And this wasn't even something big or meaningful. It was about food. But the way they reacted, you'd think I'd attacked their entire belief system. That's the danger in giving opinions too much weight. We all have thoughts, likes, dislikes. That's normal. But when you let it get to the point where your opinion becomes a part of your identity, where disagreeing feels like a personal attack, that's when it becomes unhealthy. Lately, I've been trying to look at things differently. I don't want someone else's opinion to have power over me, and honestly, I don't want to put too much stock in my own opinions anymore either. I'm not saying I don't have opinions, but I'm more careful about how and when I share them. There's a time and place for everything, and sometimes it's just not worth it to throw your opinion out there. I think we've all gotten into this habit of sharing our thoughts with anyone who will listen, without really considering whether it's helpful or necessary. There's so much noise out there. People are just shouting into the void, not even thinking about what they're saying or who they're saying it to. It all kind of ties back to a video I did earlier called Thinking Before You Speak. It's a similar idea. Sometimes the most valuable thing you can do is pause and reflect. Ask yourself, does this need to be said? Does this need to be shared? More often than not, the answer is no. So, where does that leave us? I think the takeaway is this. Yes, you're going to have opinions. Everyone does. But not every thought needs to be shared. Not every disagreement needs to turn into a battle. And most importantly, not every opinion, especially your own, needs to be taken so seriously. Anyway, that's my rant for today. Thanks for sticking with me on this one. I hope it gave you something to think about. This is Moore's October, signing out. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye.